What's going on, people? This is Eli Wananda. Thank you for tuning in, and my apologies that this is the first video that I've done on this channel for a little while, a couple of months. What I'm going to start to do more of is more of these kind of vlogs where I can just sit down and just express what is on my mind, what I've been thinking about, and so on. So hope you enjoy. Hope it brings something of some kind of light and enjoyment to your day. And let me know as well in the comments, any questions or thoughts or whatever that you have. So, what have I been up to, man? Well, and it's going to be very freeform, by the way. I haven't scripted anything, so I'm just really gonna talk and share. So a lot of my last few months, I've been thinking a lot about economic, financial security, financial independence, if you like. And that has involved me, looking into investments a lot more. That's involved me, spending a lot of time on trade, doing a little bit, not trading per se, but like, looking to pick up some investments, cryptocurrency investments. And I know some of you are going to switch off as soon as you hear that because you think, oh, Ponzi scheme. But my thing with the cryptos is that, unfortunately, capitalism, this capitalistic world that we live in here in Babylon, in the West, in the UK, and just in the Western world, and in the whole world, frankly, makes life precarious, especially when you're thinking about a family, especially when the children are involved, or you're thinking in the future about children or wife, partner, whatever. Or when you're thinking about your elders, your loved ones, older people, or, you when you're older, there's a constant worry, isn't there? There's a constant concern about, well, what's going to happen in future? How am I going to keep a roof over my head? How am I going to live a life, a quality of life that is fulfilling, and a life that brings, as much fulfillment and satisfaction as it possibly can? Because scarcity and want are, I'm not someone who's experienced, I would say, scarcity and want in any extended period of time anyway. I'm really grateful that my parents were able to, provide most things that I needed. I wasn't one of those children who would come into school with the latest trainers. When I was in school, young boy in school, Nike Air Jordans were just starting to kind of, that whole craze had just really started. 90s we're talking about, it just really started. And I was never one of those children who would be coming in with any of those latest garms, latest trainers, latest label, fashion wear, latest this, latest that. Even haircuts, very basic haircuts I'd be having. I wasn't a child, we weren't a family that would be going on holidays. We never went on a holiday as a family, never went, half of my friends, particularly my white friends, would be going to Spain for the summer holidays, or this place or that place. We never done any of that. Never any family holidays. Never, no extravagant spending. However, I always had what I needed. I wasn't like trampy, if you like. I wasn't like coming in with holy trousers or anything like that. And I was, presentable, if you like. Which is so important. Unfortunately, in school, you know what it's like. If you're not presentable, if you can't meet up to like the minimum level of having decent clothes and decent shoes, trainers or whatever, then life's going to be tough. I always had a decent level of things. So in that materialistic kind of school playground culture, I was okay. But then where I started to, when you're young, you don't get it. I just thought, oh my gosh, these other, boys, friends of mine, they've got everything. They're getting all the latest trainers. They've always got the latest things that come out. They're always in fashion, on trend and so forth. And I just thought, what is it with my parents? But what I should have thought about is the fact that a lot of those friends of mine didn't own property. Their parents were, living in flats, in council estates. And I'm not criticizing them. It's not to looking down on them. But when you think about it from a kind of materialistic perspective, if you're in that materialistic mindset, my parents were homeowners. We owned a house, a 3-bedroom house in East London. Most of my friends, not all of them, but a lot of my friends lived in the flats nearby, the tenement blocks nearby, some of which have been knocked down actually now. Similarly, when I then, went to university, I found that whereas some of my friends were getting, their tuition paid and maintenance grants and this, that, and the other, I didn't qualify for those because I think that it was means tested, and my parents' income was such that they were deemed to be above the means requirement. That they were above the amount of income that you would qualify to get help from the state. So in that sense as well, it's like, okay, yeah, clearly. The older I've got, the more I realised that my parents, yes, they didn't spend on what's the word? Commodity purchasing. They didn't kind of splurge on that sort of spending, but as a result, they had cash spare to help me out when necessary. I went traveling around Latin America over 20 years ago. I went to loads of countries. I went to Cuba, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia. Where else did I go? Peru, Argentina, and Brazil. I've probably missed out some there as well. Paraguay. Went to Paraguay as well. My parents actually helped me out with a bit of money because not that long before leaving, I was going to be going on a very threadbare budget, which would probably have been a good thing to kind of build my character and but my parents actually gave me a little bit of money to help with that. I was able to live with them for many years after I graduated, and all of that to say that the point of all of that, I suppose, is to say I know what it's like. I've seen what it's like for other people to lack, to have scarcity, to have want, but for me, I've never really experienced that. However, now I've become one of the byproducts of that meant that when I was in my 20s and 30s, I didn't focus enough on building up that base of wealth. My parents probably didn't instill it enough in me to think about, okay, Ellie, well, get a property, buy a house, buy bricks and mortar, get that foundation that will in future will provide you with a source of income. I was probably over pampered by my parents, and then I over pampered myself to the extent that in my 20s, I was all about enjoying myself. I went traveling, like I said, I went to uni, I did cultural studies, no prospect of getting a decent job based on cultural studies, I was, constantly renting, not doing any investment whatsoever. And I've had a good life. I enjoyed myself. Came on YouTube toward the end of that period, vlogging and so forth. Life was good. But what it did mean is that once I have become a husband and become a father, you become much more aware. Like we've been able to buy a house, so we are homeowners in that regards, so that's good. But we basically both of us have very little other investments to speak of. And the thoughts, you really start to realize that, listen, we're solely dependent on our jobs, on our 9-to-5 jobs. If something was to happen to those jobs, we would be in serious trouble. I actually had a situation in 2019 during one of my hiatuses from vlogging. I had a situation where I was basically going to lose the job that I just joined. It just wasn't going well. Did not get on with the people I was managing. Did not get on with the person who was managing me. And for the first time ever in my life, I was facing a situation where I was likely to basically I wasn't going to pass my probation. And at that same period of time was when my second born son was going to be born, 2019. So that was horrible, horrendous, horrific experience where I was looking into the abyss. I'm not going to be able to provide for my family anymore. we're going to have to maybe sell the house and, move in with our parents or something, and that in itself is even a good thing. That's even, at least we have that as an option. Many people don't have that as an option, unfortunately. So that experience kind of helped. And also the pandemic, obviously the pandemic came shortly after that, the lockdown. One of the things that's come out of that is that I've become much, much, much more focused on providing that kind of future proofing, that security. And this is one of the main reasons why I don't vlog I don't make YouTube videos so much anymore. There was a time, even during the pandemic, where I'd go through spells where I'd be, researching, spending hours and hours and hours a week researching different topics, talking about Afro-pessimism and, all these different what do you want to call it, academic discussions and so forth. But I've had to realize that, that isn't unfortunately going to put food on the table, and it's not going to put us in a position in the future where we're comfortable. We feel like we're comfortable. So that's what I've mainly been focusing on over this year in 2022 in particular. It started in 2021, but certainly this year in 2022, I've been focusing on investment a lot more. And to circle back to cryptocurrency. So why cryptocurrency? Well, mainly because perhaps foolishly, in my opinion, cryptocurrencies provide much more potential for your investment amount that you put in now to generate an income later on in life. What I'm saying is that, sorry, I just got a notification saying my phone is too hot. The camera quality might suffer, but basically, you're much more likely for, so I don't know, something like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or whatever it might be, an Avalanche or a Kronos or whatever, to double in value, triple in value, quadruple in value, even 10x, which means go up by 10 times over the next 10 years than you are with most stocks. And it's because we're chasing that kind of, it's high risk, high reward. And I feel like in my stage of life now, it doesn't make sense for me, who's got little existing investments. It does not make sense for me to be playing it safe, being all cautious and investing only in low risk, low reward things. I'm kind of trying to play catch up, if you like, or trying to catch up, make ground on make up the ground that I lost in my earlier years, in my young youth, when I was just focusing on, focusing on myself really and just enjoying life. And so that's kind of what I've been doing a lot recently. It's not to, I absolutely understand that crypto world is a fascinating world, absolutely fascinating. You've probably been seeing stories about cryptocurrency crash recently. And there was a project called Luna, which has collapsed in the last couple of weeks and so forth. Loads of people I've seen lost a lot of money. I've lost a little bit of money in some of that, but not much because I've not really put in that much into those investments. But it's a real sobering thing. In the online sphere that I've kind of been in, we whether you want to call it the Pan-African scene or the conscious black online space, we talk a lot about ideas. We talk a lot about theoretical things. We talk a lot about things that are to do with like macro stuff. So we talk about politics. We talk about geopolitical things. So the situation in African countries, Caribbean countries, political things going on in the USA and so forth. And that is all necessary and needed. Unfortunately, though, people need to have the freedom. People need to be free. People need to have the time and space and energy and resources to be devoting a lot of time and time to those kinds of conversations. And if you don't have that buffer, if you don't have that cushion of some level of, a level of financial security that you feel is required for you, and particularly if you have family, which I do, it's just not. I can't justify it. It's negligent basically to be focusing lots on that sort of stuff rather than focusing on improving your family's kind of situation. So that's one thing that I've been doing a lot recently, and I'm sure this will resonate with a lot of you, even if you don't have children. In this Babylon system, this vampire Babylon system, we are constantly running on this treadmill, aren't we? Running on this treadmill all the time to secure our future. And it's a shame. It's a shame that that's how it is, but that is how it is. This is this world that we live in. The world as it's currently set up, this is how it is. Another thing I've been, so from a family perspective, being a husband is no cakewalk. Neither is being a father. I would say to those of you younger folks, particularly younger men, but also women as well, like really take care. If you're planning when you get older, or soonish or whatever, to settle down, start a family or whatever, really take the opportunity of your single years, or of your single years. Even if you might be having relationships with people and so on, but generally you're doing your own thing. Take the opportunity that is provided to you in those years to really set yourself up as much as possible. Set yourself up financially. Set yourself up emotionally. Understand yourself. Get to know yourself fully. Get to understand your motivations in life. Get to understand your aspirations for relationships, for example. Don't jump into a relationship thinking, oh, I really love this woman, or I really love vice versa. Don't just think that love is going to sustain your relationship or your marriage. It's not. Trust me. You need to get really down into the weeds with regard to what is it that you want from your partner? What is it that you want? What kind of life that you want to live? Financially, what kind of standards do you have? Emotionally, what do you want? What do you need? What will you be needing from your partner, and vice versa? What do you envisage? Where do you envisage yourself living? All of those things you need to do, because it's hard. I mean, I didn't do that before getting married, and it's hard work because, particularly when children come, you haven't really got much time to be spending time gradually getting to know yourself, because you're now together, you're in a relationship, and your children are there. Children they ain't got no, sympathy for you. They're just all about the ego, their ego. They have their wants and needs to be met. And rightly so, we brought them into the world. So, it's not about them, particularly when they're young, it's not about them putting themselves aside for you. No, you've got to you've got to sacrifice yourself somewhat for them. So please, 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 maybe you're with someone, you've been someone long term, and you're thinking of, starting a family. Get real. Particularly when children come, that's where a lot of the pretense that we put up, a lot of the performance that we do when we're in relationships, a lot of that performing you can't do anymore, because reality is right there. You're living together now. You're working. You're trying to raise a family. You're going through pregnancy. You're going through maternity leave. You're together 24/7. You're irritating each other, and so on and so forth. Under pressure, that's where you'll be proved by the fire, if you like. Your relationship will be proved by the fire. So take the time to build yourself first and foremost. Understand yourself. Understand yourself, what you are, who you are, what your motivations are in life, what your aspirations are in life, what your values are that guide you, and be very explicit. I suggest be really, really explicit with your partner. Talk about them. What are we going to do when a child comes? Say, I want to be going out twice a week, in the evenings with my friends, or I need to be keeping fit. I need to be able to go to the gym 3 times a week. I must be able to have, one of my things is having time to myself. Sounds very selfish, but I've been so used to being on my own that it's been really hard for me to acclimatize to transition to a reality where I don't have that much time to myself, particularly now with working from home. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, you know, who wants to be commuting every day and jumping on the train and this, that, and the other, and basically wasting money on the trains. So it's great. It's a great time saver. It's a money saver. But the flip side is it does mean that I'm basically at home almost all the time, and the children are at home for a lot of those time. You know, a lot of that as well. So it's been a struggle, and I need to do better with making sure that I make it clear that I need that time to myself. And then the other thing is, be clear about you as a couple. Making time for you as a couple. One of the things I would suggest, I say it to all my friends, you know, any of my brothers who I speak to, who would listen. I say to them, if you're thinking of getting with somebody, honestly, it might sound weird, but have as a bit of a criteria. Does this person have family close by who will be able to help with looking after the children, to free us up in particular as a couple to go out and enjoy life? Because if you don't have that, then your whole identity is going to collapse into being just a father or just a mother. 80% of the time you're going to just be doing those things. Even if you're together as a family, the couple part of you and your partner, is going to suffer if you don't have time, if you don't have space and time for you to go off together and be doing the things that you used to do all the time when you were you know, in a relationship or courting, if you might say. So that's like one of the real big advices that I'd give you, because, you know, yeah, this person might be wonderful, might be beautiful, might be romantic, might be understanding and, you know, whisk you off your feet and all that sort of stuff in your courting period, in your relationship period. But that's all going to change when children come, and you need to be clear about that, and you need to try as much as you can to build in those safeguards. Like I say, having a network around you that can help with childcare, having clear expectations about relationships and all that kind of stuff. Build that in to help you sustain through what are definitely going to come, which is the tough years. The tough years are 100% going to come, and you need to kind of ensure yourself, you know, for that. So yeah, those are the kind of the two key things really that are kind of going through my mind at the moment. You know, economic, financial security has become a key motive in my, you know, day-to-day life, and also really understanding and building, if you like, my marriage, so that we've got a real firm foundation, and also as well making sure that I'll talk about parenting more directly in a future video, but parenting, absolute roller coaster to be a parent. You know, at times, I'll be honest, I'll say that I don't enjoy it. But I think that's just a reflection of the fact that I have not checked myself. Do you know what I mean? I've not prepared myself, and so I'm not kind of, you know, I'm often getting beaten down by the parenting experience because I haven't taken the time to understand myself and understand my needs and wants, and, you know, how I can be the best version of myself in the context of being a husband and a father, you know. So I'll probably leave it there then. Yeah, that's been a real quick update. As I say, I'm going to try to do more of these kind of vlogs, you know, going forward. And yeah, I hope you guys find this interesting. What I want to do really in these kinds of conversations is to open up conversations, to hear other people's reflections, other people's thoughts on life, different areas of life. I want to learn from you guys. I want to learn from you, get your input on things, and, you know, I'm not always going to just talk about my personal life, but I just thought with this kind of first video in a while, it's important to kind of do that. But also in future, you know, I'll still talk about political. One of my things I don't want to do, I'm not going to niche myself anymore. YouTube's always trying to push you into a niche. Like, find your niche, and then you can hit that audience, and then, you know, build that audience in that particular niche. But you know, we're not niched, are we? We're multifaceted people with lots of different lots of different sides to ourselves. And so that's what this channel is. I'm going to kind of focus on this channel, which is why I've changed the name of the channel from Africans Arise to Eli Wananda. You know, just make it about, it's me, you know? Anyway, let me not stop this narcissistic rambling. Thank you for watching. Take care. Make sure that you let me know your comments and thoughts and insights on anything that I've mentioned or anything else. Take care, and I will speak to you soon.